Minnesota has just experienced one of the most historic snowfalls in its history, with record-breaking amounts of snowfall blanketing the state over the past winter. These extreme weather conditions have caused a lot of challenges, but the biggest challenge may be just ahead this spring.
So I'm the service hydrologist here at the National Weather Service in La Crosse, and that simply means that I just handle the hydrology program here. We have many sites with data across Iowa, southeast Minnesota, southwestern Wisconsin, at the county, state, and federal level. And it's my job to kind of make sure that we have all that data inside and then provide that data to the public along with flood warnings and forecasts. So a lot of locations, upstream of us and upstream of Winona across northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin have had a top 10, snowfall winter. But overall, it's the snowiest winter we've had since at least 2019. The past 3 winters have been pretty, dry on the snowfall side of things. Flooding occurs when you have, more water entering a system or entering a location than is kind of exiting. The ground can only absorb so much at a time, and then that's when you get runoff or ponding of water. Flooding this spring, we're not really expecting it on the tributaries or the local tributaries to the Mississippi, but the main stem of the Mississippi is expected to receive at least some form of flooding. Right now, the forecast for Winona is calling for moderate flooding to occur within this week. There's a lot of factors that kind of play into the flood risk. Obviously, the warm temperatures melt snow much faster than you would like. And when snow melts much faster, it becomes liquid and then starts to run off. The ground can only absorb so much, and once it's done absorbing, that's when the snow melt that does, melt into liquid starts running off into, your sewers, your creeks, and then eventually feeds into the Mississippi. No matter what you do, there's going to be flooding that occurs, sometime. Unless we design, city walls around us completely, you're always going to have some sort of flooding. And probably the most common flooding is, in the urban areas, summertime thunderstorms. A lot of our cities and sewers were designed back when the city kind of started. So, anywhere from 50 to 100 years ago, depending on the city. A lot of our rainstorms are dropping more water these days. So the city that designed these sewers, in the past isn't quite up to snuff for today's, thunderstorms. So whenever you get really intense rain rates, basically from thunderstorms in the summer, you're going to experience at least some short-term flooding, what we would call as flash flooding, when more water is hitting the street than can route its way into the sewers and, away from the city.
For more information on our blog and in our podcast, go to cbnews.com.